Welcome to another edition of Anglican Unscripted. This is the Friday the 13th edition. I'm Kevin Carlson.
And I'm George Conger, and today is May 13th, 2016.
May 13th. May 13th. I should remember. Oh, it's my anniversary. So, yes, today is the anniversary of Kevin and Jill. We have been married 27 years in a row. I know, just amazing.
Same people, too.
Same people, just Jill and I. She's never upgraded. She's just kept the old Kevin. It's interesting. I think she was quite idealistic. She thought she could change me. She says, he'll grow up.
No, exchange you is what she was saying.
Maybe, yeah. He'll certainly become more mature. He can't always be the way he is. And luckily, Jill matured and understood that I'm not changeable. So that's how our marriage has lasted 27 years. So we're going out for a little Italian dinner tonight. Have to bring the credit card and maybe some extra dollar bills because when Jill wants to go out for Italian, it's not cheap. I can't wear the flip-flops.
It's not Pizza Hut, is it?
No. Well, no, it's not. No, it's not Olive Garden. No, there's some place on Yelp that's #1 ranked for Milford, and it's going to kill us. But Jill's going to have a great time, and I'll have a great time as we celebrate our 27th anniversary. It's interesting, as people.
You don't take your children with you, Ben and Michaela. They're not going to go.
No.
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 You're going to bring them some rolls and Jill's purse back home?
I think they'll be having American Italian tonight because they'll be ordering from Domino's. Yes. And it's interesting because we live on the beach now, as most people know, and I've invested in my first pair of flip-flops. And I had the office here in the house, and so I don't get out that often, except to go pick up Ben after school, and I go to the gym. I spend days on the beach with my iPad and my customers, but I now have to find my sports jacket, my dress shirt, find some slacks, get some socks, and
well, you know, Kevin, they make these socks with a little toe inlet so that you can wear socks and flip-flops. I see German tourists do it in Florida all the time.
Black socks and flip-flops. Ooh,
yes.
All right, let's move on to the news before we make people more weirded out. The news, we've been talking about Lusaka and the ACC meeting now for weeks and weeks and weeks because it was a follow-up to the Primates meeting that was held, Primates gathering that was held in Canterbury, where the Primates said, listen, the way we're going to deal with the Episcopal Church is to give them a 3-year timeout. They're basically not allowed to vote or participate in leadership or teach doctrine of the Anglican Communion for, let's say, 3 years. And to follow up on this, to make sure it goes well, we're going to put together a task force that deals with how the Anglican Communion deals with the Episcopal Church to make sure that they don't participate in the Anglican Communion and that there's a road forward. And so we've been waiting for the Archbishop of Canterbury to put together a task force. And he has, and we'll get to that. But we got some more follow-up now about what happened at the ACC meeting. As we've reported, Justin Welby went into the meeting, and he was worried all things were not going to work well, and that the desire of the Primates would not be undertaken by the ACC, and that the Episcopal Church should walk out without any consequences whatsoever. Justin Welby left Lusaka and said, "You're not going to believe this, but the ACC held Tech accountable. They were not in any leadership roles. Evidence of that is Ian Douglas was not reelected to the standing committee. This is a good day for the Anglican Communion." Woof! Boy,
and the Primates communique was fully implemented.
Yes, absolutely.
Fully agreed to, fully accepted.
Right. Well, now we learn that may be, I don't want to say untrue, he's the Archbishop, less than accurate.
The English way of saying it is not entirely straightforward.
Okay, so George, why is this not entirely straightforward?
Because it's untrue.
Because he lied. Well,
Six members of the Standing Committee, including the outgoing chairman and vice chairman, James Tengatenga and Elizabeth Paver, released a statement saying the Archbishop of Canterbury is describing something that didn't take place. We did not discuss this. We did not endorse it. We noted that it took place, but we certainly did not give it any sense of affirming or empowering this statement. Mm-hmm. And the conclusion that it was fully endorsed, fully implemented, is not real. And this was not just a bunch of left-wingers. Sure that among the people signing this were people from Wales and Brazil and James Tangatenga, but Elizabeth Paver, the vice chairman from the Church of England, is a member of Forward in Faith. Mm-hmm. So we can't say that this is just the left hitting back. This is the left plus institutionalists, conservative corporate men and women. So they have basically said, Justin Welby, we like you, we respect you, but we cannot stand by and allow you to make claims that we do not feel to be truthful.
And I went the extra mile as a journalist, and I checked. There is only one Lusaka, George. So it's not like he went to a different meeting. You know, they all attended the same meeting. But once again, in Anglicanism, you can go to the same meeting and come away with a different introspection of what really happened.
So it really was a bad week for Justin Welby because Josiah Wadawu Faroon let forth another Jeremiah against those people who displeased the Archbishop, mm-hmm. and said, oh no, this is just a mistaken interpretation. And now, this is the second, third, fourth, fifth time Daewoo Faroon is saying that people just don't understand the English language. Munir Anis, he doesn't understand the English language and English trust law, and, Eliud Wabakula, well, he's a liar for claiming that his signature was forged improperly. He doesn't understand things. And, the Ugandans and the Nigerians and the Rwandans and the Kenyans, they're all exaggerating. And now the liberals and in the ACC, they're exaggerating too. Justin Welby was not helped by the ACC's Secretary General this week. It just made things worse.
Well, thankfully, he was able to spend some time since the primates meeting and gather some of the top people from around the communion for his task force, which he released this week. And you put together a wonderful picture when you released the press releaser from England. Now, help me out here. What is the role, according to the primates and our friend Munir Anis, for this task group?
To oversee and basically make sure the Episcopal Church complies with the primates' communique.
Okay. The press release from Lambeth kind of is a little bit different. It says it's a task group to find a way to walk together. I'm like, I didn't get that. I was there in England. That's not what happened.
Well, Kevin, this is actually a very cunning plan of the Archbishop of Canterbury. Last night, I happened to be watching a movie on TV called The Producers, starring Zura Mostel and Gene Wilder. And the premise of the movie is that there's a Broadway producer who just can't get a hit anymore. Mm-hmm. So he decides to stage a colossal flop. And out of the colossal flop, he will be able to profit.
Sure.
Justin Welby is staging Springtime for Hitler in the Anglican Communion. Mm-hmm. He is put together a commission that is absolutely guaranteed to piss off the conservatives and the liberals and have a total fiasco of biblical proportions,
well, would you say people on this task force are in a leadership role?
In their churches, yes, but in the Anglican Communion,
not so much.
Well, the members of the commission are the head. One of the members of the commission to make sure the Episcopal Church does what it's supposed to do is the head of the Episcopal Church. Now, of course, there is the problem that the Episcopal Church cannot be appointed to leadership positions in committees and task forces. So, what exactly is Michael Curry's position if is he not an Episcopalian anymore? What is he? And there's a Canadian liberal.
Yeah. Well, let's go through. Richard Clark of Ireland, Michael Curry of the U.S., Bishop Gavada moderator of South India. Oh, we need to talk about him. Ian Ernest, Church of Indian Ocean. Philip Fryer of Australia. Moon Hing of Southeast Asia. Rosemary from the Kenya. Linda Nichols from Toronto. And let's see, Elizabeth Paver from the Church of England. Paul Sarka, moderator of Bangladesh. So that's a very diverse group of people. But if you'll notice, there's not a lot of GAFCON there. There's Kenya, kind of that token African person there. But the left is well represented. The middle is kind of represented. But the conservative GAFCON right has no representation in this group, George.
That's correct. There are two people who we could strongly identify with the liberal cause in the Anglican Communion, Linda Nichols of Toronto and Michael Curry. Now, this is a very strong, solid conservative element, but those conservatives are not part of the GAFCON movement.
Right.
Moon Hing of Southeast Asia, Philip Fryer of Sydney, Richard Clark of Armagh, and certainly Ian Ernest. All four of those guys are men of integrity, men who hold the traditional church teaching, yet they are not GAFCON fellow travelers. They're sort of centrist. They're looking to find a way to square the circle, if you will. And all of these are men of high integrity, and I have no doubt whatsoever that they will do their very best. Elizabeth Paver is a conservative, as I mentioned. She just took the knees off of Justin Welby, but she is not a happy-clappy liberal. The bishop from Bangladesh is a bit of a cipher. Bangladesh is more concerned about social justice issues. And then there's Rosemary Ngobo, excuse me. Mm-hmm. And now she is from Kenya, but she is as much as from Kenya as saying Bill Love or Jim Stanton are of the Episcopal Church. Sure. She represents a minority wing that is in favor of getting closer to the Episcopal Church, of staying with, and she's sort of in the Joel Waweru, the rebellious Bishop of Nairobi camp. So she is a Kenyan, but she's not representative of the mind of the House of Bishops or its primate.
But every one of them on this group that I see would work well together in a task force designed to keep the Episcopal Church in the loop, to walk together.
And then there's an unfortunate choice, which I just don't know why he was chosen.
Oh, the
moderator of the Church of South India. Yeah. He has, to my certain knowledge, I've written at least 6 stories about him being brought up on charges of corruption and sexual harassment. He just turned 65. The retirement age of bishops in the Church of South India is 65. He has refused to step down because he forced through a constitutional amendment uncanonically, and that's also in the courts, that allows him to extend his term in office. The Church of South India is the most corrupt church in the Anglican Communion. The majority of its bishops are under criminal investigation for fraud and corruption. Remember when the American Church sent all that money for the tsunami?
Yep. Poof, gone.
All stolen. Mm-hmm. Bishop Guvada is accused of being one of the guys who had sticky fingers. Mm-hmm. And yet he's appointed to this commission. Now, whether the Archbishop of Canterbury wanted to have sort of a rainbow of colors and he needed somebody from South Asia, it's just unfortunate that this guy, who is quite a piece of work, that's a nice word we're using here to describe people, is on this committee. But it is so bad. In other words, what is the outcome is going to be? First, the mandate was changed to monitor, to now find a way where we can all get along. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to satisfy GAFCON. It's not going to satisfy the liberals. The conservative, earnest conservatives, the good, well-meaning conservatives who work on this committee to make things happen, they're going to come up after several years' work and turn out a report that means absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and that's what's the real ringer here is, we've seen task force after task force, meeting after meeting, communique after communique, And no matter what's said or provisioned by the primates or the ACC or anybody else, Lambeth, nothing ever seems to happen. It's just it just
Kevin,
disappears into the air.
do you remember, Kevin, we had up the panel of reference, and we had some outstanding conservative leaders on the panel of reference. This was the group where if you had a problem with your diocese or your bishop, you could go to the panel
Your
of
bishop,
reference.
not your diocese.
Your diocese, okay. Now, Robert Tong of Sydney, Australia, a friend of
Absolutely.
this show.
Hmm.
Morris Sinclair of South America, primate at the time, were on the panel of reference, and they did a fantastic job. They went to Jacksonville, Florida, to try to mediate between the Bishop of Florida and some breakaway parishes, Neil Labar, who's now a bishop in the ACNA. And they came up with recommendations that were sent to Lambeth Palace that were put in a filing drawer and never saw the light of day.
Hmm.
So, and then we've had Anglican commissions that have had just absolutely awful people. Well, I don't want to name names, but say Frank Griswold was on, and I'm not saying Frank Griswold's an awful person.
No,
Frank is
he's a
Frank.
nice guy.
Frank Griswold was part of the Archic communication group for years. He was the Anglican co-chair.
Hmm.
And do you know what? Archic has absolutely made no difference either. So
No, it's good
it's
for a
it's
yearly
how
press release.
it pads your resume. It
Hmm.
gives you something to do. It's planning. I really come back to the springtime for Hitler an analogy. It's so bad that you're banking on it failing.
Hmm.
Now, the kicker for the movie was that it was so bad it turned out to be good.
Hmm.
And maybe they'll have a hit with Springtime for Justin. Uh,
For Justin,
who knows? I mean, it's a crazy world out there.
the Rodney King "Can't We All Be Friends" task force. Well,
But it see that Justin Welby has, I believe, and I'm now going into psychoanalysis. I'm allowed to do this because my mother is a
well,
psychologist. And,
how did she put up with you? But go on, go on.
well, I mean, when I wanted a motorcycle when I was 16, my mother told me it's a phallic symbol, and I have been wounded by that ever since. I'm sorry, especially because it was a red motorcycle. But
Yes.
okay, we'll go. We continue. And now I've lost my chain of thought.
We were
Because
talking
I'm not
about
traumatized.
the completely
I have
utter
memories.
failure of the upcoming task force as you compared it to the producers.
I got nothing,
Oh,
Kevin.
that's all right.
Nothing.
It is 17 minutes. We do need to close out the show. Guys, have a great weekend. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm Kevin Carlson.
And I'm George Conger, and I'm still thinking about what my mother said 50 years ago. And this is episode 228
9.
of Anglican Unscripted. I really want to get one of those recliner bikes. I really need to do.
Maybe you have a gym membership.
Yeah, but I
That
don't
means I
like.
have to actually go to the gym.
No, I mean I don't. I get bored at the gym. No, I mean I used to ride. When we lived in Vero, I would ride my bicycle fairly frequently, and I really liked it. I liked riding the beach road or A1A,
Yep.
and I can't ride a bicycle. I gave away my bicycle because I just have no balance,
Uh-huh.
and so I need something that's like stationary. And so one of these recliner and with my neck and back, and I just need something. It's something I really think I need to find that right thing. In other words, well, the gym at the our local, I when I say country club, I'm giving visions of grandeur to something that
It doesn't
it's
exist.
like no, it's sort of like it's sort of like your condominium association,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's okay.
and there's like three of these walking machines and two of these elliptical machines, And whenever I go, there are these women with makeup and
Tammy Faye Bakers, yep.
velour sweats who smell of perfume and talk. And it just, I just, I can't get into, I mean, I know that sounds the weakest excuse, but
No, no, I understand completely because I go to my gym and all they play is this stupid pop music over the things. They have all the monitor TV monitors are are captioned, so you can't hear anything. And all the machines have a TV on them. So I'll bring my own headphones. I'll plug in. I'll watch my business news or something like that while exercising. But yeah, I mean, the atmosphere of the gym is horrid. And there's about I go to a gym with about 50 machines, 60 machines, and there, at any one time there's about a dozen people in. Three or four of the people look like me, are in need of a huge change in life. Eight of the people are physiqued to the are perfect set specimens, and they spend the whole time looking in the mirror while lifting weights and making sure they got their deltoids perfectly, whatever, triceps, delt, whatever. I don't even know my muscle groups. You can look at these people and identify different muscle groups. With me, you can say kegerator. Yeah.